Transaction. Rain has enabled Game Boy mode.
Hey, the Game Boy mode is still working. Hey, Noya. I was afraid that was going to be a waste of points. But now my the bit that I was trying to start the stream with doesn't work. But how beautiful my game collection is! Look at the underscore logo that Vex made right there. I just have to wait. I have a lot of shine on me, huh? I messed with the lighting a bit. That's okay. Best laid plans, Noya. As you well know. How are you doing today? I'm just having a light read, as you can tell. Would this read? That still looks cool, doesn't it? Tulip Computers. This is like last time I went to Breda. This is like a manual user's guide for like one of their IBM compatible PCs. I didn't even know what Tulip Computers was until like a year ago, and then recently I learned about them because that guy who bought the Commodore trademarks bought them from Tulip. I don't know if the Tulip was still around, but Tulip had the Commodore trademark for half of them for a while. It happens to coincide with me owning a Commodore 64 now. A donation from our good friend Nora. It all comes full circle. Like there's a 286 computer waiting for me.
Assurance. Today is the day.
Am I quiet? Okay. It's not just that I'm quiet. I put the music a little louder because I was trying to do a bit. I have a 286 waiting for me along with a bunch of other computers. That 286 might be a Tulip computer. That might be what that binder belongs to. Do you think Game Boy mode can end? Do you think it's broken? Because a lot of stuff in StreamerBot's been broken lately, and I haven't given a shit enough to fix it. So I'm wondering if maybe, although I've said that before, and then it turns out. But it's fine. But how are you doing today, Noya? How's November treating you? The darkest, grimiest month of all. For me, it's been ups and downs, emotionally. The darkness is difficult. But I'm at least, after 20 years in Europe, if Game Boy mode is started during start screen, it'll end on end screen. I don't think that's how it works. It's on a timer. We'll see. I got nothing else planned. But yeah, I'm glad after 20 years I can acknowledge that November gives me psychic damage from the darkness.
Cessation.
Hey!
Disabling Game Boy mode.
Here we are. Oh, look, the middle of the X on the X-Files box is all lit up. Freaky. Proud of how well you're coping. Me too, Noya, me too. That's like the big thing that I learned from therapy is you're not changing how you feel about anything. You're not changing how the world affects you. You're just changing your own behavior primarily when it comes to self-care. All right? You're learning to like take the blows and redirect them or give yourself patience and all that crap. But yeah. I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but there just happens to be a new YouTube video on YouTube from the YouTube creator Alien Bob. It just kind of appeared out of nowhere. It was supposed to come out tomorrow, and then today, like, as I often have the problem that I don't have any work to do, and I just said, fuck it, why not finish it? And why not just upload it just out of nowhere and see how it goes? I had stuff to say, you know? I had stuff to say, I had things to say. It's been, like, I had a while ago, I decided, no, I'm not doing big videos, and I'm not doing small videos anymore. I'm only doing big, grand videos. And I think partially that was because, of course, the Desperate Housewives video was a big hit. And that made me go, all right, this is the way to go. And it's what I enjoy doing. When I made the short videos, all the flash bobs on like Chibi Robo and the X-Files game and all that stuff, that was a bit too of like me just kind of learning the ropes, figuring out how to edit, little tricks, how YouTube works, whatever. And some of those did well, but what I really want to do is a big deep dive into something obscure. And I do have another one of those planned, but I'm not super excited for it yet. And then I just had this idea, and I thought, well, why not? I'm not working on any other project super attentively right now. The other big thing is the game and looking for work, but that's nothing you guys need to care about. Hey, Steve, the mechs with the funny character names. Yeah, what if the one of them was called Steve McSticky? It would fit right in, to be honest. But you know, so I'm trying a few little ones again. I did the short one that got me some attention, at least on Blue Sky, was the No Bad Video Games one, right? That was a bit more of a manifesto that came from the heart after I played that Minority Report game. And this was something that I'd been sitting on for a bit, and I didn't really know how to do it, and then, I don't know, I guess inspiration hit. There might be another short video coming out before the end of the year. The big innovation here, you know, even with small videos, I like to always be growing and trying new things and experimenting and whatever. And two big things with this one were, one, for once, since Helicops maybe Starwinder, I did not record the footage of the game while streaming. I just recorded the footage of the game last Monday, just like a lot of other people on YouTube do, whatever. Because I've been a little less consistent with the streaming. And I thought, why not try it without? You have the time, why not? Because I needed, like, I kind of knew what I wanted to say about the game, and I knew that it was going to be a 10 to 15 minute video, so I don't need 40 hours of footage to get all the storylines and go completely in depth like I do with the big videos. So just like a regular YouTuber, just taking a couple of hours and recording the footage last Thursday while watching Noya stream. So that's one innovation. The other is that I wanted to be a little bit more emotive in my the reading of the voiceover. I think I succeeded at. And one thing I learned from the Hamlet video, when I did the recap of Hamlet, you know, all the stuff in QuickTime and stuff, I had actually printed out the script because the intention was originally for me to do it in one take, or at least all the acts in one single take completely from memory. Didn't work out like that for a multitude of reasons that you would know if you're a patron. But what I learned from that is reading a script is a little nicer on paper. Look, I still have it here. It's in the trash, but this is the script for the Power Riders video. And just kind of sitting here and reading it from paper, compared to just reading it off a screen and having to scroll and stuff, I don't know. There's something about it that I've learned is makes it feel more casual. Makes it feel like I can try things a little differently. So that's something I'll be taking forward with me. But yeah, that's fun. That was fun to make. If you liked it, thank you. If you haven't watched it yet, I hope you will. It's doing kind of okay. It's almost surprising. I think the thumbnail is what would you call it? It tickles something. Today, what I want to do is create something new. Today we're going to do a creative stream. Engaging, compelling. Compelling? It piques the curiosity. Alright, so if you have not been to the forums yet, that's what they look like. You go here. Let me see if this works on YouTube. Hey Nora. Forum? No, it doesn't work on YouTube. Commands don't work on YouTube for some reason. If you go to the forum at the_.xyz and you go to the _jam #1 triple triptych. Oh, don't look at those. That's spoilers. And you read the first post. So what we're doing is we're doing bi-monthly jams of various types. We might do games in the future. We might do writing. Hell, we might do something like video production. Hold on, I'm gonna write that down in my notes. Video production. Where is it? I haven't looked at my the forum to do in a while. Videos. Anyway, Game Bake. So it started a week ago. There's still a week left. There's plenty of time. I'm gonna try to make whatever I need to make right now between now and 2 hours and 45 minutes. Should be possible. Create a 90-minute deep dive into an obscure game and credit it as Alien Bob. Look, if I could do it full time, Noya, I've thought about this very hard. If the YouTube made enough money for me to be able to do it full time, I could do that in 3 weeks to a month. 1 month research, 1 month writing, 1 month editing. Oh, sorry, month. 1 week research. That's how it's going right now. 1 month research, 1 month writing, 1 month editing. But if I could do it full time, I could do it in 3 weeks. But right now, the prompt is you take a triptych, right? Which is like 3 pictures in a row. A triptych is oh, I have this. If you've ever been to like a European museum, it's like one of these kinds of paintings where it's like a scene. Usually there's like a big central scene and there's two things. Sometimes they fold open, there's scenes on the back. Sometimes there's more. I have a really nice one in town here by, what's his name? Lucas van Leyden. Do they have it? This one. This big Last Judgment. Alright, these would be hanging in churches behind the altarpiece or whatever. And then on special days, they'd be opened up. But here, like, the story is, of course, look, there's Jeebus and God and a little pigeon. And this is Armageddon, I guess. And then here's heaven and here's hell. Please, This, by the way, this cheeky little angel. We have a magnet of this on our fridge. They sell a magnet of this scene specifically. But you know, there's heaven and there's hell with all the little goblins and monsters, and so a triple version of this. And this is, I explained this in the little explanation here, but this is what I had to do as my first assignment at art school. Is you want it to be like a normal triptych is readable in both directions. A triple triptych, as I call it, because I don't think there's a name for it, as far as I know, is readable in all directions. So left to right on all three layers, up and down on all three rows, and potentially even diagonally. And there's many ways you can approach this. I think what we did back in the day is, you know, Steve, you know what Hieronymus Bosch is called in Dutch, which is very close to Afrikaans. He's just called Jeroen Bos. No fancy Latinized names here. What we did in art school, me and my partner, I guess, my classmate, this was 2005. This was like September, October 2005. And Hurricane Katrina had just happened, I think. Jeroen, there you go. This was 2005. I don't know if... Anyway, so we had some kind of flooding disaster, and I'm trying to recall how I did this. I had like, you had like a cityscape, normal, flooded, and then after the flood, under construction. So you'd have like tower, like skyscrapers under construction, but also wireframe, blueprinty type things, something like that. So we have some examples of submissions already. This one by our good friend RPWTF, explained to as My Life Through Technological Objects. And I love this because you could totally, like, this is linking time and input with media type, which I think is really cool. Because it goes from like, oh, here's an Atari XE, I think. Wait, what does the alt text say? A 65 XE. I know my Ataris. And then a Famicom controller, and then a CDR. So these are like games. This is media. You know, you go from written to audio to video. We don't need to explain all of it. But you go through time as well. I find it quite brilliant. And this one by Meow is a little bit more comic book panel-y, which is perfectly valid, I think. And I wish that I had realized that 20 years ago, that you could just do kind of comic book panels, have characters. But here, lovely too. There's, you know, you can see the relation between all the things, and you can tell the stories. Here's someone's telling a story, and then there's a reaction. Sometimes the reaction isn't good. And then Cultpacitor also has a beautiful pixel arty one with very interesting use of the border frames. which I find fascinating. The other restriction on these, by the way, is I want ooh, Stream Boo. Dan. Is 8 colors maximum and a resolution restriction. That's just something that I think makes it more difficult. So, what I had in mind... I haven't had a lot of time to think about this, believe it or not. Even though I created it, I don't know if this is very fair or very unfair of myself. But I have had no ideas. I had no ideas while making the prompt and the limitations. I did not have something in mind and then work backwards from that. I just remembered this task, this project from art school, and I thought that would be an interesting challenge for people. That's something that you can't just do in an hour, but you also don't need 2 entire weeks to complete, right? So I have since then had vague ideas or concepts about what to do. I think one thing I did have in mind is what I want to do is use photographs in some way, but 8-bitify them. Just if you have seen the thumbnail for my Hamlet video, there I've taken a screenshot from the film and I've run it through some programs to lower the resolution and the color depth. And that's essentially what I do. Find a nice palette, take pictures. But pictures of what? And what do they do? And I had the thought of using my face, or using faces, or facial expressions in some way. And then I realized what I was making with that. Hold on. What I was making with that was... Oh my god, Wikipedia, please don't do this to me. What I was making in my head was the Brady Bunch. Now, visually, this does something, right? It doesn't fully conform to the prompt because there's not really a story being told in any of these directions, except for when you see the parents looking at the kids. There's something going on there, but I don't want to invoke Brady Bunch. Unfortunately, they were ahead of me by whatever 60 years or whatever old Brady Bunch is now. But I think I would like to do something with a facial expression and text. And I thought, okay, I could look up an app or something where you can get a 3D model and make them do facial expressions, right? You could even take Mario from Mario 64. But then again, what are you saying with the facial expressions? Are you conveying like an emotional stages of something? Is it going to be personal? Could I add text in order to make it a little bit more, maybe not necessarily more clear, but more explicitly narrative? I don't know yet. I'm gonna work that out. Well, I think out loud here. You have 9 panels. The center panel is special because it touches all... Like, this is what I say in the prompt too. It is an exercise in minimalistic, non-linear storytelling. Because you see the picture all at once, but you also see the components, and you are you're trying to do something. I'm gonna finish my tea now before I lose all my words. Can I even think of 9 facial expressions? Could I make them myself? Could I just go here, do this, take a screenshot, you know, do is that something I could, I mean, is that something I could use to tell a story? You can do anything to tell a story. What if... Okay, hold on. I gotta start sketching. Because I just had an idea. Do I have this drawing tablet thing? I'll just use paint.net then. Oh, that's bad. That's really bad. Something to like as a ruler. Here. One can use solid blocks of color to tell a story, but I see each panel must be 8 colors. Yes, so well, what you could do, you have 9 panels, right? How is that not straight? I don't know. You have 9 panels. 8 of those panels could be 1 solid color. And then another panel, maybe the middle panel, maybe not, could be all 8 colors. And that's actually kind of what I'm thinking about here now. Because I'm thinking about, okay, I can have let me just get a layer on here. I can have expression 1 here, and I can have expression 2 here, and then this one can be 1 plus 2. I can have expression 3 here and 4 here, and this can be 3 plus 4, right? Then this can be 1 plus 3. This can be 2 plus 4. And then this is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. What I could do... What I could do is take four expressions, 4 facial expressions. Happy, sad, angry, something. And then have it like basically be... Have it basically be like, okay, this is happy. Alright? This is sad. This then could be sappy. Alright? This is angry. This could be sangry. You know, something like that. I don't know what is the fourth emotion. How many emotions are there? Confused? Somebody tell me what are emotions? How many emotions are there? Emotion. Fear. Arousal. No. Excited and relaxed. Relaxed. Fear, grief, love, rage. Anger, disgust. Fear, happiness, sadness, surprise. Emoji. What are the basic emoji? Happy, 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 happy. Cry, laughter. Oh, we could use emoji as the base. You're disgustingly relaxed. What is your secret? What if we took these for emoji? Happy, neutral, crossed out eyes. I'm gonna copy the image. Oh, I'd like to copy the image. Whatever. Copy the image like this. Not this one. Where's the crossed out eyes? I don't want too positive, too sad ones. So what if... Because these emoji have... This is paint.net, Steve. The most basic of basics. One thing, where's the about? There's no about. Whoa, paint.net. Because what I like about these emoji is they have like a little extra thing, right? They have these little laughing tears, these crying tears, the hearts, and the X's. So what if I took pictures of myself doing my absolute best to embody these emotions, and then added the those embellishments on top of it, and that'll be the base. And then nope, wrong one. And then we do this. This is essentially what we'll do. I'll take 4 pictures, and then I'll mash them together. And I'll make it sloppy. You know? I don't want them to match up too good. I want it to be obvious that there's a cut. Something hybrid emotions. Or some bullshit. That was a sudden transition. Okay. Well, one thing I might want to change is I think I want a different smile emoji because I would like them to all be aligned at least. There we go, this one. Use this one instead. Still just imagining it in my head, you know? Sometimes I'm trying to like justify it in my own head because this idea came before the idea. Sorry, this idea came before the thought. So I'm trying to fit it into the prompt, as you do sometimes with art stuff. You know, you retroactively shove it into whatever the prompt was. Sometimes you're happy. Sometimes you're sad. Sometimes you're sad and happy at the same time. I think this one should also be different, because it's not too clear what this is. This is like joy, this is love. This is, you know, grief or whatever. Go with anger? I think anger might read very clearly. I think I can probably pull an anger face off quite easily. I might not, now that I'm thinking about it, I might not bother with the embellishments. Can you be... Hold on. Genuine question. Can you be angry and feel loved at the same time? In the way that I'm kind of like depicting here? I mean, if you can be happy and sad at the same time, you can be sad and feel loved at the same time, or feel love. 100%, absolutely. I just want to make sure that this arrangement makes sense, you know? Sorry, if there is a better array, because the way I have it now, I feel like you have the positive emotions in opposite corners and the negative emotions in opposite corners. But what would happen if I switched them up? Okay, so I'm gonna take 4 pictures of myself. And they're gonna be... I think they're gonna have to be very... I'm gonna try to keep them all in the same frame, you know? So that... Okay, I'm gonna shrink the pictures of myself down to very small, because each of these squares is 64 by 64 pixels, right? I think that was the that was the instruction. Was it not? 64 by 64. So they're gonna be small, but though they don't need to be that exact. It's gonna be weird trying to do the expression. Okay, this is very happy. I'm gonna go glassesless because they're not gonna read at the low pixels. I'm not gonna take any pictures yet, but this is very happy. Does it look a little too psycho? Sad. No, that's... Angry. Angry is easy because I have a masculine face. But angry, and I have like a very prominent brow, a very caveman brow. So angry is like... I'm trying to get the shape in. Also, I have mega bag eyes because I've been up since 5 o'clock. Loved. Yeah, but see, but I can't turn my head. That's the thing. I can't turn my head, so I'll have to be like... And that's different from the big smile, because the big smile is like laughter, right? Like, oh, that's better. This is so weird to do. That's part of the challenge, baby. That's part of the challenge. I like, if I ever have the money, I'd love to take some acting classes or theater classes or something and just kind of play around with being expressive. But until then, Twitch streams are gonna have to do. Imagine coming into the stream and you just see this. Okay. I'm gonna use my phone camera for this. Might mess around with the lighting a bit. Keep the headphones off, even though I'll miss the beautiful Ridge Racer music. Maybe loose hair? Would that read well on 64 by 64 pixels? I'm gonna remove the background no matter what. That's not gonna be. This off because it's a little too textured. I'm a psycho. Alright. I look like Stanley Kubrick, thanks? I'm starting to get the dark... I mean, he has really dark eye bags, so... Because he's been up all night harassing his actors. Sad. Angry. Angry. See, the thing about angry is you got angry that's like weird, exaggerated angry, just like, I'm a tough guy, like, I'm so angry. That's not what I actually look like when I'm angry, you know? If I'm actually angry, I'm more like, now I got like an intense glare. And then loved. Loved is kind of relaxed, you know? You feel the warmth in your heart. That there's people who care about you and think about you and hope you're doing well. Help you out when you're in need. A little too turned. Yeah, I think we got him. I just need to upload him. So okay, hold on. What are the next steps? The next steps are... Hold on. Let me just write the notes down here. Oh god, these glasses are so filthy. Filthy glasses. The next steps are find a layer you can draw on. Get images. God. Get images. Sort. Squarify. That's a word. That means to make them square. Remove background. That might have to come first. Remove background. Oh, I'm not showing this. FYI. I should be. Remove background. Color adjust, I think. Not the final palette, but just kind of not make my skin look too dead. Color adjust. Then shrink. And then composite. Right? And then I'll have the final thing. But then I need to color palette it. And then I'll be done. Pick color palette is actually what I need to do. Pick color palette. Apply color palette, and then done. Alright, let me see if you can get the images, if they've been uploaded to like Google Photos already. They have. Currently downloading. I need a folder. Let's open up Photo P because I need something with a little bit more oomph. What that flag is, that's the Progress Pride flag. Look up Progress Pride flag. You'll understand what it means. Where are we? Photo piece. So let's just create a new image that is square. 800 by 800. Sure, why not? Can I add them all at the same time? Look at this guy. Okay, so step 1 is squarify. I thought it would add them in full size, but how big are these images? What's the resolution on them? Yeah, way huger than this. Oh my god, please zoom. Thank you. Not too much, please. A good happy pick, yeah. Oh my god, look at me. This is only a little bit confronting. Of course, I can just center it perfectly. Build from there. Ugh. There we go. Okay, so what I want is for these to be somewhat aligned. I don't have to be perfect, but see how easy it is to animate? That's all it takes. Okay. How do we align these? Usually what you would use to align is the eyeballs, right? Let's use this as the base. Nope, let's just, this is the base, I said, so we can lock you. We lock a layer, here we go, lock. There. This one's a little too big. I moved myself. Yeah, that's good. Close enough. He could be enlarged a little bit, I think. I was like leaning back a little. But again, I want the division between the faces to be clear, so they don't have to be perfect. Okay. So that's that. Now I want to shrink them a bit. Let's just change all of them. Yes. Let's save this. Enjoy your work, Steve. Thanks for hanging out. Keeping me company. Hope it's not too hard on you. Okay, let's remove some backgrounds, shall we? We can be nice and sloppy with this. We don't need to get my beautiful curls in there perfectly. Photo P has like this pretty nice AI background remover, but I don't expect it to work very well for this particular situation. This is more fair to me than sadness, but sometimes those two kind of interlink anyway, to be perfectly honest. At least in my experience. A lot of my sadness comes from fear. Comes from not having as much control over my life as I would like. lead to an interesting difference in response in how people see and experience emotions themselves. Emotions are weird. And sometimes what you think is an emotion is actually just a thought. And sometimes you think you're supposed to be thinking things, but you're just supposed to be feeling things. Well, supposed to is carrying a lot of weight there. Oops. What are you feeling? You have no idea how to describe anything. There is something to be said. I've been learning this myself. To build up a feeling vocabulary. I had this earlier this week, like, Mrs. Bob was asking me how I was feeling, because she could tell I was not feeling well. And instead of saying sad, I said I felt wistful. And that was a lot more descriptive of what I was actually going through than sad. Sad is a very generic word, you know? Captures a lot of stuff, but it's not always as precise as you want it to be. I really need to trim my beard. I've been letting it grow out because I'm lazy. What can you do? It takes work. Okay. Let's get some cheerful music, please. Thank you. We've gotten images, we've sorted them, we've squarified them, we've removed background. Color adjust. I think it doesn't matter because we're going to use a palette anyway. And the website I'm thinking about using for it will also help me to there's a word to you can mess with the brightness because that changes which color turns into which color. Right? So color adjust not necessary. Shrink. I guess we do that now. Oh, that looks terrible. Dithering would be interesting to use. Image size 64 by 64 pixels. What does it look like? Yeah. That still looks sad. I think so. That still looks happy. That's not love anymore. That looks like a happy, but that just looks like a psycho, but whatever. I think we can make it work. 192 by 192. Faces. I might want to use a border. This is bottom left. This is top left. That's the Brady Bunch. This looks just like serious or concerned now. Oh, can I use guides? Can I not use guides? Maybe I won't use paint.net then. Maybe I'll just use Photop. Pretty sure Photop lets me use guides. View. Guides. Hey, Grace! Well then, maybe we'll just use Rita then. I need guides. Will you be my guide today, Grace? How are you doing? How has your week been? $192. I thought you had guides. Who has guides? We need to open GIMP. New store is cold as fuck. I'm sorry. That's too bad. Well, I hope you can warm up by the stream. We'll have to use GIMP. Oh, I closed Photop for some reason. That was not my intention. GIMP is so weird. You traced back a nasty PNG transparency bug to the terrible 3.x version of GIMP and went back to 2.8. They're all terrible though, aren't they? Oh, this is 2.1. Wait, I thought I had a newer version of GIMP installed. I guess not. No, I do. Is that better? Hold on. I kind of need to format this computer and start from scratch because it's been so much... There's been so much garbage. This is still 2.10. I thought I had... GIMP is kind of my last resort. I tend to do either everything in paint.net or Photop. Okay. So I had something with better guides. Hey, Red.
Assurance. Today is the day.
Well, Grace, as Red just said, today is the day. That day being the one day I have free to work on the jam. On the forum. Where the goal is to create a 9x9 grid of a story. And these are some of the submissions we've had so far. So I'm I've had something in my head now that involves my face. And that's what I'm going to be trying to doing now. I am going to be trying to doing something that involves my face. I've taken pictures. Now it's just a question of trying to make it work. And hopefully the final product will look like it means something. Are these not 64 by 64? Whatever. It's not interactive. No, we're doing... Well, I mean, that's arguable. That's arguable. It's non-linear. But the first jam is an image jam. This is a recreation of my first art school assignment. I thought it was interesting, so... That's what we're doing now. That's the wrong one. You can go. Thank you. You're swamped with that wheel interface project. What's holding you back? What's causing you trouble? My head looks so big in this one. Hold on. We can fix that. Just some light modification. Now I'm wondering if this is gonna work at all. Prototype wheels are a bit prototypey. Endless encoder has a weird grindy feel. It doesn't need to be perfect though, does it? Maybe the unpleasant feeling can be a benefit. Maybe that can be part of the experience. I'm just organizing things up on the second monitor. Again, something a little more cheerful. Thank you. So, I'm gonna be real messy with it because I can. I duplicate you. It's strange that it'd be very hard to sell as intentional. I believe in you, Grace. I'm sure you can do it. December means hell in retail. That tracks. I wish you luck. I'm just gonna merge all of these immediately together. I don't give a shit. No, not with the background though. Merge visible layers. What am I doing? Wait, what am I doing? Still a cool project. I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends up, but I also feel privileged to be able to see a little bit of the process. Why can't you use a normal file browser, huh? $19? The game is displayed in the library as a demo version. That's weird. I've never heard of wmcenter.net either. Scammer to get your payment details, yeah. Maybe they deliver one of those like, you know how some of those places have they have Steam keys, like a loot box full of like, you know, really cheap games, 99-cent games. A lot of acid flips in there and stuff. Stop duplicating. Not what I meant to do. You know what I'm doing now is really weird. Messing with my own face like this. Ah, that's too short. Need one more pixel. Oh my god. Does the Steam version of Outrun have achievements? I don't think so. It's pre-achievement era. No. You get the manual. That's what you get. Why does it say playtime only 3.5 hours? That doesn't seem right. I may have played it a lot before. I bought this really early, so... I don't even remember buying it, to be perfectly honest. No, that's why Team Fortress 2 only says I have like 1,000 hours on it when I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure when I should have been finishing art school, I spent more than 1,000 hours playing Team Fortress 2. Stop it. I need one less row. Ah, I just keep hitting Control D to like deselect, but that's not... What is deselect? None. Shift Control A. Okay, that didn't do that. This is almost looking like something, huh? I just need to figure out how to properly do the middle one. I think it's the same way I did with the emojis. Let's get rid of the middle one. Try to get half of this. Oh, doesn't work. Let's merge all the visible layers again. Really sloppy work, but that's what streaming is for. We're being real sloppy. I don't know if this is gonna read super well. But the point of a jam is to just try it, you know? None of the jam games I've ever made were particularly good, so... Reminds me a little bit of whatever the road rash was on the PlayStation, with their weird caricature pictures. Okay. So that's the light color. Do we still do something with the borders is my question. I think we still want to do lines because we don't have like a clear distinction. Also, this color doesn't matter, but it's just for me and for the contrast. Nope, that's wrong. Just a 2-pixel line. Speaking of Ridge Racer, I think I'm done with Ridge Racer 7. I've seen enough. It's a 7 out of 10 game. I was always more curious about Ridge Racer 5, really. I've heard decent things about that. But Ridge Racer... you know what it made me think about is that racing games in general have very little reverence for themselves as franchises. Like, I'm just reminded about how, like, none of the Need for Speeds have anything to do with each other for the most part. Rarely do they reuse tracks or elements. I was just thinking about how Need for Speed High Stakes, aka Road Challenge, I think it's called, also, has all of the tracks of Need for Speed 3 inside of it. But like the soundtrack for Ridge Racer 4 is so, like, it's like top 5 PlayStation soundtracks, right? Why doesn't every Ridge Racer game after that have, like, more of that? Why isn't there a, hey Juge, why isn't there a, why isn't there a remaster of Ridge Racer 4? I don't know. It's such a legendary game with such legendary vibes, and they just let it kind of languish. It's like, yeah, put it on the PlayStation Mini, I guess. Here's the ROM. Who gives a fuck? Just an HD remaster. Remake the menus in HD. You know? Maybe keep the graphics a little PlayStation. Grace, this has been a video idea. Because I was playing Ridge Racer 7, I had an idea. I don't have the time for it. But I wanted to get a unified theory of Ridge Racer. Because Ridge Racer 7 takes place in a country called the Ridge State. And there's like a United Federation of Ridge Racers or something like that. And there's like a little news ticker that talks about Ridge Racers, and Ridge Racer 4, the music, you know, references a Ridge Racer. So I wanted to kind of play through all the games and get all the lore and try to see if I could fit it all together. But that's like... that's too much work for my channel. The Ridge State. Okay. Now we have this. We have one step left. And then we're done? But I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna look any good. I don't know if I'm happy with it, what I've made in an hour and a half. Because... What is the name of the website? Pixel Art Village? That's the... I need to go to... Losek. Palettes. We want 8 colors. See? Now we're getting somewhere. This is the Pico 8 palette. Do you have brightness for me? This is from the image. That's not great. Thought you had a brightness thing I could do. If you don't, then I'm less interested. Then I'm gonna use whatever it's called, pixel something, image to pixel. Load image. Hello, Fluff. I've been doing some work, like if I'm happy with this and we're done, then I can go back to the Aruba game stuff, because I've been doing some work on the side there too that I'd be interested to discuss with everybody here. Jams. Yeah, no, height is fine as it is. Oh! Well, we're going to 192 is what it was, right? Relative. We can go to palette. I think I can load... What kind of palettes? PNG's palettes file. Okay. We go back to low spec. We can pick out a few fun palettes that would be nice. Exactly 8 colors. I don't want a monochrome. Do I want a monochrome palette? Maybe I want a monochrome palette. What would work for this? Game Boy would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? I thought about Game Boy Camera, but Game Boy Camera doesn't have a palette because Game Boy Camera is not in color. I had thought about taking the pictures with like a Game Boy Camera filter or something like that, but it's not. That's 1-bit color. This is a pretty one too, Funky Future 8. I'm just gonna grab a few of them and see what I like and see what works for the. This one's kind of nice too. C-Cam. Was it for the Hamlet? The Hamlet thumbnail, which performed horribly, by the way, is using the Windows 95. Is like using a Windows 95 color palette, I think. This site, Fluff, is called lowspec.com. I've linked it in the Jam introduction. And it's like a retro gamer thing, but they have like color palettes. You can share color palettes. Like Slecko 8. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go with 8 palettes that we can fuck around. This is cool. This is like old school Winamp. Oh, purple is nice too. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's try. I don't know if the PNG image works. Can I just get you back to 0? Can I get a .pal file? No. Yeah. There's something here. We get some dithering in this bitch? Now you. And you. And you. And you. I had a Game Boy camera as a kid. It was fucking awesome. It was a lot of fun. I don't know what happened to it. I hope it's still in someone's collection on Aruba. No, this one I don't like. Don't care for this. Ocean. Nintendo will bring back the Virtual Boy, but not the Game Boy camera. This is a little pop arty. It's a little too pop arty. I don't necessarily want to invoke Warhol, you know? How's the jump going? You're looking at it. Invoke the Game Gear, like give it a ton of ghosting and make it go black after 5 minutes. What's funny is none of these look like me anymore. I don't see myself in these. This one maybe. I see myself. And I don't know if I like that or not. Can I mess with the brightness? Yeah. That's better. I should have been doing that. And the contrast. Not this one. What was this one? Clement. Funky Future. See here. This is looking good. This one gives me a lot of detail. Funky Future. Funky Future is one where we're keeping in drink. Very citrusy. This again, I lose myself in this. And this one's another Game Boy one. Funky Future. I might change this background color if I'm allowed. Yeah, because I can just do this, right? I can just pick this one. Get a little bit more saturation in there. I still don't understand how my forehead looks so big on this. What's weird is it's kind of making me look like I'm wearing a Jesus robe. And with my hair loose. I might want to make a few adjustments. Do I? I think I like it. I think I like it. I'm just kind of staring at it to see if there's anything I don't like. Like I think it would be nice or interesting to maybe give the edge like a little bevel. Which color would I use for that? I guess the dark blue, right? And I'm not to toot my own horn, but I remember, this is funny. This kind of shows my development as a person, right? When I applied to art school from Aruba, like the program was like a mix between theater and games, interactive theater, you know, that kind of stuff. It was a little, you know, I didn't really know what it was, but it was in the theater faculty of the art school. And I had to, part of the application process is I had to come up with like an interactive theater production. And I didn't actually have much experience with theater, like I took part in a school play and whatever. So I had this whole thing in my mind, part of the application was like, yeah, you know, I think about these things in terms of games. I think very literally sometimes. I have difficulty with that. I guess it's kind of like a neuro-atypical kind of thing. That there's some kind of play happening on stage, and then the crowd has little boxes that they can use to vote on certain activities or things happening on stage, and that determines where the plot goes, right? And then for this assignment, this was our first assignment too, I thought very literally, oh, it has to tell a story. It has to make sense perfectly in all directions, you know? And that's kind of how I did the instructions too. But, you know, especially with a jam, nobody's getting graded. It's not a competition. It's not telling a literal story in all directions, but I think it kind of works better than that because it's telling it works on an individual level, but it also works as a whole, but it also works like it doesn't work in directions. It works more like if you're looking at this panel. Why am I pointing at the screen? If you're looking here and see kind of like the super happy one and the chill one, it starts to inform how you see the other ones, and it takes a second before you realize, especially because of the pixelation, that like this one is a combination of the top and bottom one. Like you have to look at it a little bit. It looks off. It doesn't look like a normal expression. This one looks funny because I'm looking like I'm going like this. You know, I'm pulling like a weird Mr. Bean face. But then if you look, like it goes beyond just the 3-step thing. Yeah, I'm happy with it. Save image. For something I just came up with in like less than 2 hours, I'm very happy with it. The orange and the blue set each other off really well. That's the color palette. That is Funky Future 8 by Shama Boy. Very grateful for that. Did it save? Did you save? Yeah, maybe. So, open with. Why did I do that? Open with. And then we need a pencil, and we need this color. And the pencil. That doesn't have like a line feature, huh? Ugh. Okay. So I applied for a job at the big natural history museum here in Leiden. Huge natural history museum. Almost certainly not even gonna get a whatever you call it, a callback. But it's for helping with, or helping, it's for being a part of the team that like makes the what would you call that? Exhibitions. Designing the exhibitions. Coming up with ideas for the exhibitions and stuff. And I don't know if I'm qualified, but like I said, look, man, I make cool YouTube videos in which I do research and synthesize that research and combine it all together to tell a story about something unusual that deserves to be told, right? That's kind of the pitch I'm going with. I applied previously in September. I applied to the there's a city art museum. That's the first. That was the first job thing I saw where I'm like, oh shit, this is actually appealing. And that was the big step where I went for it. They got 400 applications, so I didn't stand a chance. Then last month, I found one at the Antiquities Museum. Leiden has a lot of museums. It's one of the things that makes it so awesome. The Antiquities Museum's like literal walk, 10 minute walk would have been wonderful in their PR department. They had 150 applications, so a little closer there. I don't know about this one. We'll see. But I'm kind of betting on somebody out there trying to find something that's a little more like different, you know. And they're like, oh yeah, we need 3 years experience. I'd be like, well, 3 years experience on YouTube. And this is the thing, I haven't had to say this yet, but it's true. For all of them, I have more YouTube subscribers than they do. And it's kind of long-shotty right now because I'm still getting used to the idea of doing this at all. It's kind of a huge deal for me because I haven't been able to do this for the last 10 years of my life. Been too scared, so, you know, I have to brush up on my Dutch and stuff, which is weird. I'm assuming this is all just practice for going for something a little smaller scale and getting my foot in the door there and stuff like that. But I'm not, like, I'm trying to go for something that I would actually like. Even though my financial situation isn't great and the stuff I'm doing now, the work I'm doing now isn't particularly stable. But who knows, maybe the latest YouTube video that was uploaded today will get 1 million views. Will help pay some bills. I don't want this Pac-Man shit. But I've started getting it in my head. I've been used to as we've been working on the Aruba game again. That basically, if I set my mind to something, I can be pretty good at it. And here we have more proof. Does that work as a bevel? I'm not too sure now. I'm gonna try the lighter white color. Just on one. That might be too contrasty. Or maybe the contrast is what I want. Yeah, that's too much. I think we're done. I think I did it. I don't know how to alt text this though. That I don't know. Oh wait. I need to resize it. Right? What was the resolution? 768. Nearest neighbor. Oh, excuse me. I have accidentally made the art. Let's go. Post that shit. boy. 9 low color faces. The 4 corners of which are happy, sad, angry, and pleased. And in between are combinations of these faces, and the middle square is a combination of all 4. There! Submitted, baby! Alright. Now what do we do with our lives? Let me just let that sit for a while. So, comment just placed on the latest YouTube video. How do you only have 4K subscribers? This video has the production quality of some channels with like 1 million. It's good to read. It's good to read. It's true. People have been saying this. What's funny is, for a short video like this, I've dropped a little bit my usual quality control. The irony being, it's much easier to do quality control on a 10-minute video than it is on a 100-minute video. But because it's less important, I can be a little more lax, you know? But yeah, I put a lot of pride in my work. I don't know what to say. Don't put a lot of pride in my shirt, though, because this thing is just... Look at my 3 chest hairs. As soon as I get a job, I'm gonna redo my wardrobe. That's very important. Okay. So... That was cool. I think... We still have an hour to go. I'm still here, energy-wise, you know? I think we can look at what I've been doing with the Aruba game. We can mess around with that a little bit. Let me just pull it up. So I've been thinking about the world design, right? Specifically, what's interesting is I have as a concept. Hold on, let me just find some folders. As a concept, I have, you know, for the most part, you are first person in a very detailed zone that is essentially, in most ways that matter, a one-to-one recreation. Right? I sketched out this. I want to do this in more detail, but like this is the natural bridge. You know, this is like where most of the stuff is happening. This is where your store is and whatever. And then there's a long drive. And then I've amalgamated some areas into like a little town area and stuff with some more points of interest or whatever. But what I also want, I want 2 other things. These hills, I want to be walkable. Right? I want that to be hikeable. Because they're beautiful. And it's cute. Right? These hills here, you know, they're not very tall, but I want you to be able to, if you wanted to, climb on top of them, and, oh, look, you get a view of the entire island. So, what I need to do... Oh, this is a little inappropriate Daytona. What I want to do is essentially recreate the island on a... Not on a 1-to-1 scale, because I looked into it. 1-to-1 scale, it will be 8 kilometers wide, 30 kilometers long, so... That's not big, right? That's small for an island. It's 8 kilometers here, and it's 30 kilometers here. Or if you did it in like a square map, it will be 25 kilometers to a side. That's more than twice the size of GTA 5's map. Which is crazy. And I went on a bit of a journey on this, and it turns out that game maps are really small. That would be 5 times the size of Skyrim. And now, I'm not looking to make a unified open world, but I want 2 things. I want, one, for places where you're climbing, because also, you know, you have my favorite place, the Heuberg, this central hill on the island. I want you to be able to drive your car here and take this climb, right? And go all the way on top here and have like a panoramic view of the entire goddamn island. But I need to find a way to do that, to scale it, to make it, one, feasible for me to make, because I'm not going to make all these houses in 3D and every single road. But also feasible to render, because apparently rendering out 4 or 5 kilometers in a game, I don't know, I guess it doesn't look right. I've always had this thing with games. Driving games specifically, I talked about this last time, where the scale doesn't seem right. And I think it's because... This is my speculation. I think it's because you are... You're looking at a small screen. Right? So you got the field of view of a small thing. So, of course, the scale isn't going to seem right because you're looking at a small window of a world. I suspect, and I don't have a way to prove this because I don't have the necessary items. I suspect that in VR it feels very different because you're more enveloped. You know, the scale of the virtual world is 1-to-1, as opposed to, like, you're looking at me right now and I'm like this big to you, right? When in fact I'm quite a bit larger than that. And that affects how your sense of speed and how you approach the world. So, but also the other thing I want to do is I want to do the Racing Lagoon thing of when you drive from one place to another. So when you drive from this area here to here, go to bed, Grace. Go to bed. Get nice and warm, snugly. Gather that heat. You know, don't be sad. I'll be with you in your dreams. But if you're driving from this kind of zone, open world area that I've created to here to climb, I don't want that to be a teleport. Right? I don't want you to drive your little Suzuki Samurai, because that's probably what it's going to be, and just fade to black, and then you arrive there. I want the island to exist, even if I can't create this in 1-to-1, because look at how many roads there would be to make, right? And there's not enough, like, this satellite imagery is not detailed enough to kind of just use as a texture or whatever. So what I want to do is Racing Lagoon, and if you looked at Racing Lagoon, come on, Racing, oh my god, Racing Lagoon. If you look at Racing Lagoon, exactly this. it has this little diorama mode of Yokohama. That is what I want to recreate. Right, but with Aruba. But of course, I can't do that one-to-one either. It wouldn't really be one-to-one because it's zoomed out. But I can't recreate the streets one-to-one either. So I need to recreate the full island in a way that is recognizable, that removes the unnecessary, but also has all the landmarks and many of the roads. And what I have come up with is, what I have found is old road maps, because the game takes place in 2004, 2005, before the natural bridge collapsed. This is from 2001, but some of the, it's been 20 years. There's different roads now. But this is, tourist map with the major roads, and I feel like this, with a few updates, is a great thing to base that on, where it's like, oh look, natural bridge. You take this is the area that's in detail, but like, you take the road to the Heuberg, that's like this. And I can have major landmarks along the way. And that way I can have a diorama version, but also the skybox version. I don't know exactly what to call it. The version of the island that you see as terrain in first-person view, that still needs to be recognizable, conform to the layout, pique your curiosity as to where you can drive to, and then the diorama version of how you drive from place to place. This is something that's something I still want to figure out, even though what I really need to do first is just create only this area. This tiny little area is what I need to create first. But I don't feel like I can do that right until I have solved this issue of how do I create a diorama version of this. So what I've done is I've sketched up a little bit. This doesn't have anything on it really. It has like a few landmarks and a few areas that I would remove. But I have another map here. This one, I don't know what year it's from, but I know from the layout that it's pre-2010, I think. And it has some things that are more contemporary to that time. But I have here another sketch of zones. Right? This is the main natural bridge zone. Right? That's where like if I was able to get a minimum viable product that has everything I want in it, it would just be this area. But then here, there's a tourist attraction. There's something to watch. There's the mini golf course that I want to make. Here's the airport. So I'm kind of trying to lay out the areas that one would be where gameplay happens, but also two are areas of interest that I would want to be visible from a tall hill, right? Because if you're standing here on the okay, let's go back to the map. If you're standing here on top of this hill, you don't get a perfect panorama because there's trees and shit on it. But over here are all the big hotels, right? And you can kind of see them sticking out. And in the game, I would make them a little more exaggerated because I would have to scale things down. Here is the lighthouse. You can't see it here because it's not in 3D, but that's the lighthouse. So I just want to make that all visible. So one thing I have realized there is, so the real life size of the island is 240 square kilometers. Hey Noya, I hope you're getting paid well for your late night work stuff. So I thought, okay, it's 8 kilometers wide and 30 kilometers long. Could I shrink that down by half? Or even more, by 4 times, right? Could I make it 2 kilometers wide and, 7.5 kilometers long? Well, the problem with that is this drive that I want to have recreated 1-to-1 is 2 kilometers. So those two scales won't match. So I think I have settled on a third, 8.3 kilometers. No, not 8.3 kilometers. The map would be 8.3 kilometers. So this is 8.3 kilometers and this is 8.3 kilometers square. And what I want to do then is I wish I could get like a really detailed, high resolution patchwork. I think I can with Google Earth Pro. Unfortunately, I can't do it on my laptop. But like, what I would like to do is like, okay, take this area, right? With these houses. This is an area called Cerro Colorado. This hotel won't be there because this ugly monstrosity has only recently been built. This is a place that's also called Colony. Because this is where the executives who ran the refinery lived. Right? They had nice cushy, they had like a little American neighborhood that they built here. But this is a great example because you can see like, okay, there are, oh, do I have roads? Right, there's so many roads here. What can I do? How can I shrink this down to like 2 or 3 roads and still have it have the same vibe? Right? This is the old refinery. Was during World War II one of, if not the largest refinery in the world, crucial to the war effort. At some point, a Nazi submarine like surfaced here and shot at some of the things, and they blew up their own cannon. It was quite embarrassing. But like, this is a big landmark, right? And you can kind of see it from very far, at least as long as these hills aren't in the way. But how do I shrink this down and make it a caricature of itself while still kind of conforming to this shape? And these are the kind of questions that I'm dealing with now. This is the national park, right? It's this big hilly landscape. How do I shrink that down to 1/3 its size while maintaining the profile? This is where all the big hotels are. You can see there's a lot of them. Well, let's see. Let's count, right? These are new. These won't be here because these are horrible. Because these encroach on the wetland. Disgusting that these were built. But starting over here, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 big kind of high-rise hotels. These are all at least like 15 stories tall. Some of them are higher than that. So you can see them from far away. But how do I condense that into like maybe 5? You know? It's very scary fluff. I try not to think about it. That's how scary it is. I'm trying not to think about it. But that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking about now. Like here you have so many houses and buildings. Much of this is gonna be erased basically. I'm gonna like just swipe it away. That's why in this drawing I kind of have these red zones. That would be kind of where I would just kind of like whoop, shrink it, you know? Get rid of it. That's okay, Fluff, don't worry about it. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Anoia, I came up with 1/3 of the size because, okay, I was talking about this earlier. Real life, it is 8 kilometers at its widest, that's like here, and it's 30 kilometers long, right? Or if you put it into a square map, it's about 25 kilometers to a side, right? So, and then I looked into how big game maps are. Skyrim, right? The map of Skyrim is... well, you can't see it now because... Right, this... We've all spent a lot of time in there. It's huge, right? Skyrim is so big. This is 5 kilometers, 5.5 kilometers by 5.5 kilometers. And it's so weird how small open world games are. The Grand Theft Auto 5 map is 9 kilometers by 9 kilometers. So reasonably, what I want is I want the engine, like Godot, the terrain or whatever, to be visible, because how much can it actually render? You know, if you're standing here on top of this hill, you have to be able to see there and there, right? So in real life, that's a distance of, well, we can measure that, can't we? That's a distance of like 12, 13 kilometers. Do I want or need a draw distance of 12, 13 kilometers? But more importantly, if I make that distance 13 kilometers, I'm going to have to make it look at this scale. I'm going to have to make all these houses and roads at this scale. Right? If I shrink it to a third, that's a lot less work for me to kind of create. You know, I'm not going to make all these houses perfectly one-to-one, but I'm going to be limited in the amount of like house prefabs I can make and plop down to give the impression of detail and variety, because all these houses look different. They all have different colored roofs and different shapes, and you know, that's just the nature of how people build houses there. They're all completely unique. Even in like these weird housing developments that sometimes crop up, you can see they all have different shapes. And I still want to give the impression that that's like that. I'm a little cold now. Hold on. I'm starting to shiver. It's not even that cold. It's 21 degrees in here. If you think about your 1/3, you only have to place 1/9 of the buildings. Correct. And look. This is the airport, right? This is what a real airport looks like on an island of this size. If you go to the GTA 5 map, I accept. Look at the size of the airport compared to the size of the city. Right? It takes up like the airport is like a sizable chunk of the city. Whereas here, it's, I don't know. I'd have to do something like that too. I can't make the airport exactly this size, and it doesn't need to be. It just needs to, like, that's the thing too. The airport runway here, or these runways, are like super short. But they give the impression of having size, right? So I can cut this down in half too, and plop it somewhere and have it cover up some of this stuff. But the other thing is, I've lived here, right? At this stadium, I've had gym class here. You know, I've run here. This stuff is very meaningful to me. So there's a lot of things I have to consider in terms of like, what do I cut? What do I not? How do I keep it looking authentic while also making it practical? How do I make it look good? All complicated things. That's Venezuela, right? If you're like on a clear day, like Google Earth is very clear. On a clear day, if you're standing on a hillside, you can see that. But that's 30 kilometers away, I think. Something like that. Right? Do I might want to render that. Yeah, 30 kilometers away. I might want to render that because that is something that was always like a big deal to me. Like, whoa, that's cool. You can see Venezuela from here. You know, like you're not seeing the mainland Venezuela. You're seeing this little pimple. But you know, that's kind of where I'm at with that. And then how do I make that fit with the one-to-one areas? So I'm going to have to make both a very detailed 3D terrain that is just for looking at, and the one for the driving, which needs to be detailed in its own way, in the sense that it has to look like a diorama. So it's clear that there's no it's detailed at, like, you know, of 100-meter height. That one, but basically what I need to do is get a good sketch of this, and lay out the roads. You know, lay out the roads at that scale, and lay out where I want detailed things to be. Like, where am I showing landmarks? And I have to draw all of them down, every single one. And there's, I think, dozens, maybe hundreds of them. Case in point, here. This is the Alto Vista Chapel. This is like, it's a reconstruction, but this is where the first church on the island was built. Beautiful area to hike in. Want to have it in the game someday. But here, there's this big old water tank on the hill. Well, it's not the only one. You got a bunch of those water tanks on the hills. Here's another one. Right? They're landmarks because they're on top of hills. This isn't right. This is higher than the road here. The elevation here isn't correct. They're landmarks. They're iconic. They matter to me. They're necessary. They need to be in it somehow. Here, this isn't functional anymore, but this was the drive-in theater. That needs to be in there. You know, you need to be able to drive on this road in the diorama mode, so like this. And see that, like, this doesn't matter as much. This is just like, okay, there's some industrial stuff here. Whatever. But the drive-in has to be there. It has to be around this location, and then if you keep driving, you have to cross a bridge. Not this bridge, because this is new, but this old bridge. That's now a bike path. Over this inlet. That needs to be in the game. While at the same time, everything needs to be shrunken down to 30% of its size. Like, that's the thing, right? Certain things shrink down by 30%, but other things stay the same size or shrink down by only half or something like that. So I'm gonna have to do a big survey and basically go from tip to tip and mark down every road that I want to be in the game, either drivable or at least that you can see that looks like a road. Like what I like about this map is you've got these main roads, these main arteries, but you've got some side roads too. And I imagine I would base the drivable roads off of these main roads. But, you know, you're passing by here, you still want to see a neighborhood here or whatever. So that's kind of where my brain is at with this at the moment. Even though, really what I would like is, before the year is over, maybe have a super basic prototype where you can walk around in an environment and get into a car and drive. Because in the end, what I really want to have, more than anything, is just this small area. You don't even need to get into a car to drive for this area to work, but that's, you know, everything will be built around this. This will expand into all of this, and this area, and then I have all these ideas. I already have some of that shrunken down because, for the sake of the gameplay, that's in the Krita one. Like, here, this is the Io rock formations, right? I've placed them here, but in real life, they're like, I don't know. They're a lot further away. Natural bridge is here. This them? No. So I'm already kind of shuffling things around. For the sake of gameplay. So I'm just gonna have to keep doing that. There's gonna have to be a lot of shuffling, and I'm gonna have to create basically a. This is what I'm gonna have to do. I have to create a reference version of the island that has all the roads and landmarks laid out the way I want them to. And from that reference version, that's just a blueprint, I build the drivable area eventually, once I have more locations you can drive to in the diorama mode. And I build the skybox landscape. Maybe that's how I should. Yes. Build. We call this the reference model for the island, i.e., the road layout and what is it called? Landmarks. Scaled down to 1/3 size, from which you will build the drivable diorama and landscape skybox. Very tricky. It's tricky because one, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm winging it. But two, it's like hard to learn this from maybe topology also. Topology or topography? Topology is yeah, we could just call it topology. Road layout, landmarks, the topology, road layout, and landmarks. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but I also have this sense that the way other games have done it isn't how I would do it. If I had a team of 100 people and equally as many millions to build. I think that's all I have to say. I think that's all I think I figured it out in the sense that I've worded it the way I mean to word it. The reference model is what I'll have to build. And to do that, I need to get use Google Earth Pro to make very high res version of. So I think next week, one other thing I've been concerned about is, you know, I played around with some of those Godot plugins, specifically for terrain building and all this stuff, and I'm wondering if that is what I should go with, or if it's not still fine to do something in Blender. And specifically, I remember talking about like how do I blend the bridge with the terrain so that it looks like one item? And I know there's techniques to do that with textures, but I was also thinking, especially for this area, these are all very rocky and sharp, you know. But conveniently, there's a road here, right? And potentially what I could do is like terrain, you know, like the height map terrain for this, you know, and here too, up to the beach. But then everything else could be just a static model of some sort. That has more sharp edges, more detail, and whatever. And the road is what kind of hides the transition between them. I could just use similar textures, but then they don't have to, the meshes don't have to mesh perfectly. So that's a technical potential solution to a problem I've had. Was there anything else? I don't think so. I think I'm sleepy is what I am. Alright, I'm good. You should go to bed now and have sweet dreams. And if you can do that, I will do the same. I'll be back next Tuesday, where we'll continue to think about the game. Until then, I'll see you at the underscore, Discord or Discourse, chat room or forum, and I think there's like a button I can hit. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to make the my own triple triptych thing. I'm very happy with it. It looks visually striking. I don't know what the narrative appeal to it, but I feel like I made something that is very me and that I can be very proud of. All right, I'll see you around. Bye-bye.
Thank you for enjoying the BOBSTREAM. I love you all.